Hi guys, this is an application which I have been working on for a few weeks in my free time. Uh, I don't want to go much details about. I don't want to give much details about these applications right now. Once I complete it, then I will give an complete details about what this application is about and how you can use and where you can download it. Uh, as you can see here, this application window, the main window has 5 toggle buttons. The default one from WPF. So this is very basic default. This is very basic toggle buttons. The basic which has basic UI. So as you can here, you can see here. This is the toggle buttons from iOS. Maybe in I don't know in the Mac OS, but I see them in iPhone user interfaces. So I want to turn these default buttons from this basic design into this one. So in this video I'm going to turn these basic the UI of these toggle buttons which having which are not which is the UI is not interesting. I want this UI in my application, so I will show you how we can achieve that. So let's get started coding. So actually, as you can see here, I already collected color codes, what how they look like, how I want them to look. So these are the two color codes in hex values. So I'm going to start coding now. First, I need to define a solid color brush as a resource. I'm defining a solid color brush in markup, in XAML markup. I'm going to name it as a toggle button background brush. Okay, let me increase the font size so that you can see what I'm coding. So after I naming the solid color brush element, I'm going to define the color. For now I'm going to use when the UI is in the initial state, I want it to have in a gray color. So I want it to be like this when the toggle button is unchecked. So by default it will have the solid color brush will be initialized by default to gray color. So and now I'm going to create a control template. This is which forms the core between these elements. These tags define the UI. Okay. I don't want it to be running alongside while I code. It makes some, I don't like that way, so I want to show you side by side. So whatever whatever I define here will form the UI for the toggle buttons. So let's give it a key value to identify within our XAML markup toggle button not style control template. You can define whatever name for the key, whatever you think it's it doesn't matter, just it has to be unique throughout your application. Target type will be text type markup extension toggle button. So I'm going to define each element for the UI. First border, then canvas, so right now as you can see here these buttons the UI doesn't have border, but in case if you want a border around the UI, then you can define a border thickness, and that will form the outline for the switch or toggle button. Now canvas, which holds ellipse shape, so this will create this circle. So in WPF we have ellipse shape, which gives us the circular shape in the UI. And for the reason why I am using canvas, the reason why I am using ellipse inside a canvas is that when I change the state of toggle button, the ellipse, the circle moves to the right when it is checked, and the circle moves to the left when it is unchecked. So it will be easier for us to use canvas other than other controls like grid, like that. I think grid makes sense because other controls don't make sense. Other controls don't have the functionality we need to move any object on the UI. So these three things all we needed to create UI like this, a border and a canvas which holding a circular shape, like which we see it as a knob. So these are the three elements we need, and now we have to define few properties to look like, to have it like this. Let's define them. I would like to name them. Let's define names for them: border, background, dynamic resource. So the reason why I'm going to explain why I'm using dynamic resource, why I'm assigning the toggle button solid color brush element as a dynamic reason as a dynamic resource in a few minutes. Let's leave it there. Here, corner radius 12. So the corner radius forms the corners of the toggle button. So this is the another main advantage we have in choosing the border for this outline for this UI, which allows us to define corner radius, which makes the UI look like have circular rounds around the corners. So corner radius. Also next, snaps to canvas background will be transparent. Since border already we defined background color for border, we don't have to define a background for the canvas. Now ellipse, name, define a name, ellipse, fill, white. So as you can see here, the knob, the circular shape has a white background. So I would like to have the same in my for my toggle button. Now define width and height. So for this application, so the width is completely these controls like the width of the ellipse and the corner radius are dependent directly dependent, which means I think you need to figure out by changing so how you want to look like, how you want the UI look like. So I want to be like this is where I came to these values will make some more gives the exact look as this. So I randomly change values of these three parameters to form it like this. So then finally I concluded that these values makes this shape looks like this I mean very similar to this UI. So you can, if you want to increase the width or height of the UI, then you have to find out by randomly changing the values of border corner radius and the width and height of the ellipse. So these values works for me, and let's continue. Also in addition to these three properties from these two controls, two shapes, you need to define canvas, the position of the the initial position of this circular shape or the knob. So as I told you before, as I told you just right now, the properties, these values make sense for this width and height and this corner radius. So you have to find out which works for you by changing the values of these three properties from border and ellipse, and you also have to find out where exactly makes sense for your requirements, for your UI requirements. Also I want to make this, and let's continue. True. Now let's see here I have defined a resource for the toggle button. This grid have all the toggle buttons. Let's use the designer from the Visual Studio to visualize. So this grid containing all these toggle buttons. So I'm using a resource. So as you see here, I already defined a style for the toggle buttons, which change the content of toggle buttons based on the check state. So let's define control template, or let's assign the control template of here of this UI. Let's see how it look like. Setter, now property, control template, value, dynamic resource, toggle button state. See, this is the as I told you, I have figured out the values which forms the shape exactly as I wanted. So like now it to be, I don't want its length to be like this. I want to change it. Width value 55. See, it's almost like this one. So now the UI, let's run it. Yeah, the UI looks very similar to what I wanted. So it does nothing right now because when you click it, it does nothing. So I have to add the functionality which moves the knob, the white circle, the white ellipse from left to right here when the toggle button state is checked, and also the background should change from gray color to green color, and when it is unchecked, the knob has to move to the left, and the background color should change from green to gray. So I'm going to use a storyboard. I want it to I want it to be like the movement should be visible. The movement should be visible. The movement should be animated. Other than I don't want it to be instant. So when I click it, I don't want to be instant. I want it to be animate when user change the state of the toggle button. You know the point. Guys, you know the point where what I'm making here. So let's define animations here. So to define animation, we have to define the animations within the triggers of the control template. So let's define the animation by using a storyboard. So event trigger here, I want to when I want to like in triggers we have to define the animations. So the animation first when I want the animation to happen, like it has to move from left to right and change the background color when the user switch its state from unchecked to checked. So we have to use checked event to trigger the animation, to start the animation. So event trigger rooted event toggle button check. So I defined when this when the following storyboard needs to be started. It has to be started when toggle button checked event triggered. So begin storyboard. Now now we need two animations. So one is which moves the circle shape from left to right when the user change its state from unchecked to checked, and one animation for changing the color of the background color of the border, so from gray color to green color. Double animation which change the position of the circle, the position of the ellipse from left to right, and one is color animation which changes the color of the border from gray to green. Storyboard target name. So the rather than this acts on the ellipse, so I'm defining the ellipse. You need to we need to define which this animation targets. So this double animation will change the position of the circle, the ellipse, from left to right when user change the state of the toggle button from unchecked to checked. Now storyboard target property canvas left. You can see here I have defined its x-axis value. So canvas left always represents the x axis values, and the canvas top always represents the y axis values. So we need to here these canvas left property and these canvas top properties do not belong to the ellipse. They belongs to the canvas, the containing canvas object. So these are the attached properties. So for to define attached properties, we need to enclose them in a parenthesis. So if you don't define if we don't enclose them in a parenthesis, then it will not take the effect. It will not the animation will not succeed. So from the start point is 3 to 33. So I already figured out, calculated where it needs to be. So 33 makes 33 is the number which is the correct number, which makes sense for this width. So I have figured out. So I find out by randomly changing while I am testing. Duration. So in this are the for duration, this value represents the first value represents the hours, and the second minutes, and the third one is seconds, and the fourth one will be milliseconds. This means the ellipse has to travel from 3. The ellipse has to travel along the x-axis from point 3 to 33 in span of 15 milliseconds. So I think it makes sense. Let me repeat that again. this double animation, when it get started, the ellipse has to move from has to move along the x-axis defined here from point 3 to 33 in a span of 15 milliseconds. Okay, when the checked property, when the state of the toggle button changed from unchecked to checked, this double animation gets executed, and you will see how it looks like in a moment. Now for color animation, target, name, border. So border this is the border is holding the canvas and the ellipse. Now storyboard, target property, see here I'm not enclosing the value in the parenthesis as I did here in a double animation. See, because this property is an attached property, and this is the direct property for the target object. This is the attached property for the target object, so we don't need to define parentheses here. So now it has to change from gray color to green color. So static resource, gray color to static green color in the span of 15 milliseconds. I'm sorry. Here 15 here the background of the border, we are not changing this the color brush object itself, we are changing the property of the color brush color value. So I think it's not the time to explain why I have defined it as a dynamic resource. So let's start it. So let's check how it looks. See, it's working exactly how I wanted. So since we don't have we didn't define, I didn't define uncheck what it has to happen when the state of the toggle button changed from checked state to unchecked. So let's do it now. Event trigger, rooted event, toggle button unchecked, begin storyboard. Now I'm using this the same double animation and the color animation. The double animation will move the position of the ellipse from right to left when the toggle button state change from unchecked, not unchecked, from checked state to unchecked. It has to move from right to left, and the color animation should change the background color from green to gray to represent the unchecked state. So it's the same as here. Let's copy paste here. So right now it has to no, since it is placed it has been placed at the 33 point. We need to change when the when the unchecked event raise, the knob, the ellipse should be repositioned to the point 3 from 33 in the span of 15 milliseconds. Color animation also same. Now the color should be changed from green color to gray color. Okay, so far so good. Let's run it and see how this will work. So in the previous execution, we saw that it will change the color and the position of the change in a position of the ellipse and the color when the state of the toggle button changes from unchecked to checked. So now let's see how it performs. So I think we have two cases where we can again see, yeah, it is working fine. Now I've just added animations for state change from unchecked to unchecked state. So let's see it. Yeah, it is working perfect as I wanted. So the new animations are in effect or working, also means that they are working. So let me explain why I have defined the solid color brush as dynamic resource. If I change it from dynamic to static resource, it will remain as a static resource, and whenever we change its color property, whether it is in a checked event or unchecked event, the change will be reflected in all toggle buttons in the entire UI. So I have defined it as a static resource. See, even the state of the toggle buttons are different. The color is the same as the first one. So if I change it back to the gray, if the color is changed back to the gray, the rest of the controls will also, the background also change for the rest of the controls. And here, see, this is the effect we will have when we define this solid color brush as a static resource. When we change it from static resource to dynamic resource, this effect will not appear. Since this is main reason, the main reason is we are changing the color of, we are changing the color property of the solid color brush. So that's why what I am thinking. So this is what I am thinking. We are changing the color of this color. We are changing the color property of the, I mean, not we. I'm sorry. The code is changing. The code is changing the color property of the solid color brush at the runtime. That's why we have to define it as a dynamic resource. So here now, when we using it as a dynamic resource, The change is not reflecting in all in other controls. The change is only sticking to the one control. Okay, this is the reason why I defined it as a dynamic resource. So I think the objective of this video is completed. I will give a link to the GitHub repo which contains the source code for this UI. The entire source code will be in a will be I will be uploaded to the GitHub, and I will provide that link, that repository link, in the video description. Thank you guys for watching. See you in the next video.